As we approach the ending to the first NHL buyout period, which ends tomorrow, June 30th, we have more players being bought out of their contracts, including forwards from the Dallas Stars and Vancouver Canucks. We'll get into all the latest coming up next. So we have more breaking news here out of the NHL. This time some more NHL players being bought out of their contracts. And now these ones are not really any much of a surprise here. Of course, we've seen some other players already bought out of their contracts. And so far, there hasn't been any shocking moves in that regard so far during this offseason. The Dallas Stars are buying out the final year of the contract with forward Valeri Nichushkin. Of course, he originally started with the Stars, played for a few years, went back to the KHL in Russia for a couple seasons, and then returned on a 2-year contract. And obviously things have not worked out well for him in his return to Dallas. He played in 57 games last year, scored a big 0 goals, and put up 10 assists in a very frustrating and a not very productive NHL season. He had signed a 2-year contract worth $5.9 million, so with 1 year left, the Dallas Stars will now have a cap hit for the coming year and the following year, but it's really not all that bad. Their cap hit for the 1920 season will be $700K, and the cap hit for the year after will only be $450K. So that's really not bad at all for a cap hit for this buyout. Frees up a roster spot. It releases him out of his contract. Not really sure if he's going to get another NHL opportunity or not. I'm going to say more than likely he returns to play back in the KHL or Russia or somewhere. I'm just not sure there's going to be too many teams lining up to sign him here for a new contract, considering how poorly last season went, where he wasn't really an established NHLer after being away for a few years anyway. So I guess we'll see here. This very well could be the end to his NHL career. The Vancouver Canucks have also bought out Ryan Spooner as well. Now, Ryan Spooner is a fairly well-traveled player, but did start with the Boston Bruins, where he had probably the more success here of his NHL career. He ended up splitting last year amongst 3 teams, finishing with the Canucks. He ended up with the New York Rangers, which he was part of the trade, which brought Rick Nash over to Boston at the deadline the year before. Then he was traded to the Oilers in that Ryan Strome trade, which so far has worked out relatively well for the Rangers. And then he was traded over to the Canucks, where he finished the season. Overall, a pretty frustrating year for Ryan Spooner. He's a guy who's a pretty decent hockey player, just really had a hard time finding his consistency. Wouldn't be completely shocked if another team gave him a chance on a prove-it-to-me 1-year short-term cheap contract, maybe a league minimum around $700K. Hard to say. There's certainly lots of players out there that fit that description that could possibly be in that kind of role. So not sure 100% here if he'll get another opportunity or not. He ended up playing in 52 games amongst the 3 teams last year and put up 9 points. The cap hit for the Canucks here isn't too bad. I mean, he was being paid $4 million per year and ended up finishing the year in the minors here as well. So his cap hit is just over $1 million for this year, and next year it'll be $1.033 million for a cap hit. So obviously the Canucks have a fair bit now of dead cap space between the Luongo recapture penalty and now this Spooner buyout. But ultimately, I guess we'll see. It's still better than having him on the books here for what he was originally being paid. So a few more players being bought out of their NHL contracts. Wouldn't be surprising if we get more news on this later today among some other players, or possibly before the deadline kicks in tomorrow. There's certainly some other players to keep your eye out here. Possibly Scott Darling in Carolina is another one. We've mainly seen some other veterans so far go through this process, like Patrick Marleau, Dion Phaneuf, Corey Perry. So we'll see what other NHL players end up going through this process here before the deadline tomorrow on June the 30th. So let me know your thoughts on these buyouts and the cap hits here for these NHL teams, and do you think either of these guys will get additional or future NHL opportunities? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and we'll continue the conversation. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. We cover all the breaking news for all 31 NHL teams, and we'll be back here with plenty more content here. There should be lots more trades and signings as we approach July 1st here. NHL Free Agent Frenzy is not far away, so stay tuned to Top Shelf Hockey. I'll keep you all up to date. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time.